Holy shit, guys, did we get a lot of information out of the live stream. So I'm just going to jump right into it and list off a bunch of things that I jotted down over like the 6 to 7 hours of the Treehouse Live event that they showed. Before I start, this isn't every single thing. This is a lot of the big stuff that they announced and that they showed off. There's a lot of stuff that I probably missed that I'm going to have to go back over and probably find. But this is just a lot of stuff that stood out to me and that I think is worth noting. And first off, we finally got a real good feel for how big this world is and how expansive it is. They went on record to say that it was 12 times larger than Twilight Princess. 12 fucking times larger. Holy shit. That's on par with like a Witcher game or a Skyrim or like a Fallout game or something like extremely vast and open. It's really big. That's probably the biggest Zelda game that it's to date. We got shrines, which are more or less mini dungeons. They said that there's probably around 100 of these. I think that was the number that they used. There's a lot of these shrines, which are not conventional dungeons. They're packed to the brim with puzzles, though. So they'll give you a lot of loot in these. There's lots of chests in these shrines, and they tend to give you abilities. And when you get to the Sheikah at the end of the shrine, he gives you what's called a spirit orb, which you can use as kind of like a currency to trade in for things. And they said that they have a bit more of an importance later on in the game. I'm assuming for the story. But these shrines are also where you get abilities for your Sheikah slate, which I'll get into that in a few seconds. This isn't in any particular order, by the way. It's just kind of all over the place because I remembered some things later on, and I just kind of threw this all together. So it'll be random and sparse, but it's a lot of valuable information. We finally got to see the new inventory menu screens, and it's very reminiscent of Western-style RPGs. They were not joking when they said they wanted to make this very Western-styled. God, everything about this screams Witcher 3 to me. It's so reminiscent, and the way it's laid out is very familiar if you've played The Witcher. It's the way your inventory screens are set up and just how you can look at your armor sets and your gear and just how it all corresponds to Link is very reminiscent to that, and I approve heavily because I love The Witcher so very much. There's eating and sleeping mechanics. We've seen sleeping mechanics before in Skyward Sword, more or less just to pass the day along. I can't assume that this might be any different in Breath of the Wild. Might do something to replenish hearts, not entirely sure. But the eating mechanic is definitely the way that you replenish hearts in this. They went on to say that you don't get hearts out in the wild. You can't cut grass or smash pots or anything like that just to get hearts. You actually have to eat. They introduce cooking mechanics, which let you blend different items and different foods so you can get stronger healing effects from it and specific abilities. Like if you go out into specific areas, some specific traits that some of these foods have might benefit you better in those other areas. I'll get to that in a little bit later. But yeah, you can cook over open fires, or they give you like this little stovetop thing. It's more or less just a huge rock over a fire, and you can cook on it. It's really cool. I'm really glad that they've integrated all this really cool stuff. There's an intuitive day and night cycle now, so it's going to be important to keep track of your time because specific things happen during specific parts of the day. Enemies have different attack patterns and different capabilities during the nighttime as compared to when they would in the daytime. There's a wide array of weapons and new gear. Oh my god, this is practically a loot game now. This is a very RPG driven game because you can get specific weapons and specific gear with better attributes and better defense and better attack stats. On top of that, there are so many different options. There's specific gear sets for weather conditions and for just if you wanted to run around naked, you could run around naked. And it's not good to do because you're not going to have any defense at all. But you can run around and just play the way that you want in terms of gear and the way you look, so you can customize a bit more. The same way with the weapons, they've added a huge array of weapon types, and just more or less you can pick up anything really and use it as a weapon if it's a weapon type. You can use wood cutting axes to chop down trees, but also use those to attack enemies and use them for like heavy swings and for heavy attacks to do a lot of damage. Different weapons give you different strength parameters. Like a rusted broadsword is not going to be as strong as a traveler's sword. So, I mean, different gear is going to be stronger, which is something that if you're an RPG player, you're familiar with, and something kind of new to the Zelda universe. Excuse me. There's new combat. This kind of goes into the last thing that I said, but you can pick up a lot of different types of weapons. You can get spears, you can get axes, clubs, all sorts of shit. But there's new parrying techniques. Like I said before with the axe, there's heavy attacks. They have, I think it's called flurry dash, or it's something to that extent, but it's a new type of attack. There's the new bow with all its, or the new bows, because you can get multiple bows that have different strength to them. And they have different types of arrows. Fire arrows and bomb arrows are back. I can only assume the ice arrows and light arrows will probably make a return later on in the story. Going into the Sheikah Slate, this is more or less Link's iPad, and he downloads apps for everything. There's an app for that if you need a hook shot, it seems like, or probably will be, because this tablet seems to be taking the place of a lot of the conventional items, and that's something that they said is that, they wanted to break the mold of having to get a specific item to go to a specific place. So this Sheikah tablet is more or less letting you go where you want as long as you have that ability. And you get those abilities, you get specific abilities through those shrines. So as they showed off a lot today, your bombs, both circular bombs that you can roll and throw, and square cube bombs that you can just leave in place so they don't roll away, those are both part of the Sheikah Slate now, and they seem to be unlimited. It's just on a time limit, so you have to wait a few seconds for it to refresh so you can use it again. And you also get the capability to detonate at will, which I think is fucking wonderful, because we've all been there where we hold a bomb a little bit too long and then it blows up and then we fall off a cliff because of the stupid chain of events that happens due to that. But I definitely see a lot of items being utilized through the Sheikah Slate. We kind of got the new Ice Rod ability from like A Link Between Worlds utilized in this, where you can freeze water and make pillars out of it, and to where you can climb up it. We got, that was called Cryosis, I think that's the name that they gave it. We got Stasis, which is freezing shit in, more or less freezing it in time to where it doesn't move, which if you played Dead Space, you're familiar with that. But you can pretty much freeze things with Stasis. And then we have Magnetism, which lets you pick up metal objects and use those for puzzle building and for attacking and just whatever you want, really. Let's see, what else do I have on this list? They have a new stealth system, which is really cool. I really love stealth games. Shadow of Mordor, Far Cry games, a lot of those use stealth heavily, and I really enjoy the feel of getting to sneak up on your enemy and just jumping them out of nowhere. I think that's a lot of fun, just taking advantage of them to where they're just caught off guard. Something a lot of people really like, because it's a really popular convention in gaming now. But we get a stealth system in Zelda, which is really cool, because the enemies can alert, and they can gather other enemies, which is something that you see a lot of times, like in Far Cry or in Shadow of Mordor. We have a temperature gauge, and this is kind of going into the weather conditions, but there's a temperature gauge to gauge Link's body temperature. If he's in a cold area, his body temperature is going to drop, and you need to wear warmer clothing and warmer gear, or eat spicy foods to warm him up. If you're in a hot area, you'll need to take off your clothes and get butt-ass naked and have a good old time. And you'll need to cool off, which is something you kind of see like in Ark and a lot of PC games now, which is really cool that they're adding this mechanic to it. Going back to the stealth thing, they have a noise meter, so you can keep track of how loud you are. So if you're sneaking up on an enemy base or an enemy camp, if you're just running along, that little noise meter will let you know that they're going to alert easier, and that it's going to be harder for you to get the jump on them. We get location tracking, which is something that most all open world games have now, so that's just common sense. Food and certain items add hearts. I think I already went over that. There's specific things that you can create when you cook that will give you extra hearts. Which, if you ever played The Binding of Isaac, God, this game has a lot of elements from other things I'm beginning to realize. If you ever played The Binding of Isaac, there's specific things in there that would give you silver hearts, or soul hearts. I can't remember what they're called exactly, but they give you extra hearts. And not like heart pieces, it's just, they're just not non-permanent hearts. I couldn't think of the proper word. They added jumping. There's a jump button now, guys. Can you believe it? We get a jump button. And a climbing system. And it uses a stamina bar that makes fucking sense. It uses a stamina bar like most games do, without that bullshit stamina fruit that you have to get to replenish it. Oh my god. I'm so happy that they did this. You can sprint in this game, and it takes down the stamina, but it just quickly regenerates, which is the way most all games with stamina work. Let's see, and there's amiibo support. There's 3 new amiibos for this game specifically coming out next year. There's Archer Link, the Guardian, and Rider Link, or I think that's what it's called, and the addition of the Wolf Link amiibo, which becomes a partner that you can use in battle that can just run around. I don't think this has any correlation to the story. I just think it's a companion thing, which is a lot of how the amiibos are. It just has a like an outsider looking in effect on it, not really something that plays to the canon of the story. The Wolf Link amiibo can be used once a day. I assume the other 3 amiibo are going to be the same, but the way this works is, if you remember in the Cave of Shadows, as you progress, you got more hearts, and the hearts that you saved on record, that's the amount of hearts that Wolf Link will have whenever you come in to Zelda Wii U with the Wolf Link amiibo, which is really cool. He looks great, by the way. God, he's so pretty. There's hunting mechanics, so you can hunt boar and birds and fish and all this other stuff in order to cook them, so there's never a lack of food, which is really, really great. I've already went over the scavenging part, I think. You can run around and pick up a lot of stuff in order to cook it, so you can get stuff. There are field bosses! Oh my god, there's field bosses! This is wonderful. I think this part in the trailer right here is a field boss. I don't know what else this could be. We don't really have a lot of information story-wise about what this is, but in one part of the live stream today, they ran up on this big golem thing that you see here in the trailer. Excuse me. And this is a field boss, and field bosses are interesting in the fact that they are, they're pretty much difficulty is determined upon your gear set. So if you have weak gear and you have weak weapons, it's going to be harder for you to defeat them as compared to if you're later on in the game and you have actually supreme gear or really good gear that's above everything else. That way you can easily take them out. So gear is going to be a heavy part of this game specifically. The enemies have a smarter combat system to themselves. They talked about this with the bokoblins and the Stalfos. Apparently, like if you fight the Stalfos, if you beat them around and they lose their weapon or whatever, they'll start picking up rocks and throwing them at you, which I think is really cool because you never really see enemies in games that are responding in that kind of fashion to where they're just trying to defeat you no matter what, and it's not just a set algorithm of them just hacking and slashing at you. I think that's really, really cool. The shrines are used as warp spots, so you'll be able to bounce around and you won't have to worry about just crossing across this vast world and it taking up all your time. There's different hairstyles. You can customize your look of Link, it seems like. And there's a lot of looting in this game. You can pick up a lot of different things from your enemies that they drop and use those for just crafting your food items or using them for weapons and for gear. Kind of similar to Skyward Sword because they would drop like those little amber things if I remember correctly. But yeah, guys, that's more or less a lot of the main stuff that I picked out from from the live stream today, there's a lot of other things that they showed off that I didn't jot down, like the shield snowboarding, which I love. I think that's awesome that they brought that back from Twilight Princess. But I'm sure there's a lot of things that I've missed. If there's anything that you're aware of that I missed, please leave it in the comment section down below so we can all get all this information together. But that's a vast majority of the things that they showed off and that they talked about. I'm sure over the coming months, and especially before the launch, we're going to get a lot more information on this game and hopefully a lot more story elements. I'm kind of piecing together a theory on where this game might take place timeline-wise and what this story might be about, because I have some suspicions. But when and if that happens, I might make a video about it. So if so, stay tuned in for that. Thanks for watching, guys, so much. I really appreciate it. And God, leave a like for Breath of the Wild, man. God, this game looks so good. Thanks for watching, guys.